welcome to the podcast. Thank you very much for agreeing to come on.
Of course.
Um,
Thank you.
so I just wanted to start by, I know we've talked about it before, but just kind of explaining, I'm trying to create something that just helps bridge the gap, not only between people that are on or have been on a cancer journey, but also with the wider world that don't know how to talk to people that have been on a cancer journey. But from the conversations that I've already had, there seems to be a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings within what I call the cancer community. I'm learning it's a bit more like a country where it's made up of different regions,
Hmm.
and not all of us know what's going on in each region.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm learning that there are misconceptions within the community itself. Um, and I know that's why I reached out to you, because you're so engaging and inspiring and educating in the way you try and add clarity to some of those misconceptions and some of if someone talks about something within a cancer journey that's not widely spoken about, I I want them. I want them on. And you're one of those people.
Thank you.
You're one of those where it's not with you don't beat around the bush and you're like, right, this if you're going through this is how I've done it. And that's exactly where I started. But what do you usually experience in terms of misunderstandings? Where do you get the inspiration to put that content out there on social media?
I would say the lack of what happens after has been kind of the biggest um, sticky point for me. I, I just assumed that once I was done with my surgeries and my treatments, I was kind of put back together and they just like hand you off and say, okay, bye, you're good to go. See you in 3 months or however long till your next appointment. Um, and the after has been the hardest for me. I feel like not only in the medical menopause scene, I didn't realize how uncomfortable that it can be. And talking about it is very taboo, like, we've talked about before. But then also the loss of your old self, like the loss of identity. You come out of cancer, however, of cancer, a completely different version of yourself. There's still some parts that, you're able to cling on to, but your vision and your perspective and your viewpoint of the world has completely changed. And so I think that there's also a loneliness factor in there. I'll say one more thing on that, that I didn't realize was going to hit me as hard as it did. So I think those three kind of factors, they just there's not a whole, especially in America, there's not a whole lot of after what happens after talk. So yeah.
Is was that the hardest part for you? So when they just kind of, I know it through me when Jacob kind of reached the end of radiotherapy and they said, right, okay, off you go then. And we went, what? And I went, yeah, no, you just off you go. Well, what do we do now? And they went, you go and live your life.
Mhm.
And I don't think they kind of realized that cancer took that. There isn't
Yeah.
one. And you have to rebuild knowing that it's not the same. It's not to say you can't come out of something like that the same as you went in. I remember the
Mhm.
moment where, even though it's Jacob that has cancer, I remember the moment where my identity died as
Mhm.
his mum. I realised that the mum I thought I had time to be, the things I thought I had time to do with him, and the person that when you have children, you kind of You don't plan their life for them, but you have hopes and dreams for them. All that had gone. I remember that moment where the ground just came out from underneath me, and then they just expect you to, it's like a marathon. When you finish, you cross the finish line. I say it, I haven't done one yet, but
Yeah.
I haven't. I will. But it's just that analogy where you cross the finish line, you're like, yay, it's over. It's never,
Mm-mm.
not really. It's never over. And I think that's kind of, I that sounds so disheartening, but it's not. It's almost like grief. Grief kind of sits in the background. It never really goes away. And there are some moments where it almost like triggers you, if that makes
For
sense. And I think
sure.
cancer calms kind of works in the same way. It hums in the background sometimes. Sometimes it's yelling at you,
Mhm.
and people don't really, well, that's why we're here, because people don't talk about it.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
and there is a lot of grief in that, right? So you grieve the old version of yourself. Like now I know that I'm better because of it now, but there still are days that I wish I could go back and live in the mindset that I did before cancer because it was easy. I didn't have these worries, I didn't have these fears. And like, I don't know about Jacob, but like for me, I don't have tons of scans to test. They are under the impression that they took the cancer. So I don't have blood. I mean, I have my typical blood work and stuff like that, but I don't have these, you know, um, appointments that they can say, okay, you're still free and good. I don't have that reassurance. So I have to trust the medical system that I don't have it. And that takes a toll on you mentally. That takes a toll on you just, you know. And so when I grieve that part of me that was so I didn't have a care in the world per se,
Yeah.
right?
I
I
was
didn't
going to
have
say
that worry.
carefree. Yeah,
Yeah.
carefree. You are, what's the word I'm looking for? You lack that kind of that level of awareness.
Mhm.
You can just be on autopilot beforehand. I mean, Jacob does not talk about who he was beforehand. He only talks about who he is now, and that's how he deals with it.
Mhm.
I've tried to almost reassure him sometimes, some of the stuff that he does. Like he's the best swimmer out of all of us, and he plays for England, and I've had to say, you're not up against the two-legged non-cancer version of you that should exist. You know that, right? You are just as good as who you were. And his response floored me. He looked at me square in the eyes, like he does, and he went, "No, I'm not. I'm better.
Oh,
I'm better than who I was." He sees it as evolution. He sees it as something that has just catapulted him. It's come at a cost, So I think that's what people don't see, the cost.
right.
Um, but I mean, did it take a long time from symptoms to diagnosis for you? I know it did for Jacob, but did it take a long period of time, or was it something that was quite quick?
So I had my first biopsy in 2020
Mm,
and it was benign,
mm,
or that's what they said then.
mm,
I had a second, then I had a mammogram every 6 months until 2024. And March of 2024 was a mammogram that they immediately said you need to go get a ultrasound. At that point, I was moving to Central America. And so I got an ultrasound there after I hemmed and hawed over it because I have always been told benign, 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 you just have dense tissue. And so I really didn't think anything of it because I didn't have any other symptoms. And so when I got the ultrasound, the radiologist in Central America said probably benign. I wasn't good with probably benign. So then that was May of 2024 and then July 3rd of 24. So about 4 years from my first biopsy, my first, oh my gosh, there might be something, to my diagnosis, July 3rd of 2024. I will say the doctors after my surgeries told me that they, because of the size of the tumors and how many there were, that I probably had cancer for about 10 years, which is mind-boggling.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yes. Well, so the reason why I asked that is to ask whether that period of time had an impact on your mental health and your emotional well-being, and how you were able to function as a human being. I know it took us nearly a year for someone to actually say cancer, and the
Hmm.
impact for me, Jacob didn't really think anything of it other than the sporadic pain. But for me, it was just, it wouldn't go away. There was just something in my gut that was telling me that this wasn't puberty. But did
Oh,
it have an
yeah.
impact on you?
So, looking back, and now that I'm kind of doing this exploratory, you know,
Hmm.
time in my life, looking back, my body knew
Mm,
before my brain did. I was sick. I was having panic attacks.
mm,
Like I thought I was actually going to have a heart attack in March of that of 2024. So my body was giving me not you have cancer signs, but hey, something
mm,
is wrong. You
mm,
have got to talk to somebody else.
mm,
So, yeah, because I had had 4 years of you have dense tissue. So I just assumed, I just kept on that I just have dense tissue because I was tested, genetically tested. We didn't have the gene, although I beg to differ on that now, because we now have 3 generations of it. Um, so I had been told so for so many years, you're fine. It's just dense tissue that I mentally didn't think of it, but my body had definitely was giving me signs, which is
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. No, it wasn't happening to me, but I knew something. I was having alarm bells were going off in
Mhm.
my gut, and I
Mhm.
just couldn't shake it. We'd got a flight out to Orlando days away, and I'd begged my ex-husband to please take him back. Please take him back. Just to settle my mind. The doctor then came back and said, no, it's just puberty, he's growing at different rates. But that day, I'll never forget it. I just couldn't settle that day. I couldn't focus. And then it took another couple of months on top of that, and after the trip to Disney. If I hadn't have been to Disney and I hadn't had that time to actually pay attention to my child,
Mhm.
he wouldn't be here because I wouldn't have kept pushing.
Yep.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
how has your journey and affected you and your family? It changes everybody, I find.
It does. Um, hmm. It brought me back to my family. So I was in Central America. I came back to the East Coast where my family lives. Um, and yeah, we're 20 minutes away now. So we were able to connect and bond through this. Um, my mom actually moved back here. So it became we became closer for sure. And I think that perspective shift of for me is to have more patience and to enjoy the time that I have with them, knowing that my mom's getting older, my aunt's getting older, the kids are growing up, to be more, because I was living in Hawaii. I was 5,000 miles away from my family. I never saw them. And so for me, it was kind of a homecoming of the importance of family. And um, so I've had a very positive situation with my family after all of this.
I think it does teach you. It's a hard way to learn it, but
Yeah.
to stay, it's a really hard way to learn it, um, is to learn how to stay present.
Hmm.
Because before cancer, I would live in the past or the future. I would never
Yep.
live in right now. And then
Hmm.
all of a sudden, cancer happens, and I realized I can't look back because it's not the same. And I can't look forward because I don't know what's coming. all I've got is right now.
Mhm.
And now that's the only place I live. I don't
Mhm.
look back because it's gone. I don't look forward because it's not here yet. I can only live
Right now.
right now. Um,
Yeah, it's that's and the not having the control as
yeah,
well, because you can't
yeah,
control what happens tomorrow. I mean, you can control what you do, but everybody else is out of your control, which has been a very hard lesson for me as well.
yeah. I agree. I agree. I'm one of those hyper independent people that doesn't like to delegate. And all of a sudden, you can't be in a million places at once, and you do actually. So I don't show it very often. I tend to keep it hidden underneath my watch, but I've got the Avengers symbol tattooed on my wrist. And it was when Jacob's leg was removed, and it was to remind me to ask for help. If
Hmm.
you ask for help, help will come. It doesn't always come from the people you expect it to be, but it will come.
Mhm.
And I think that's a big one. Don't, you're not going to be able to do everything.
Yeah,
Um, but how I know we have the NHS over here, so we, fund it, and then when we need medical assistance, we don't need to pay. But what kind of impact financially has your treatment had on you?
it's a great question because I have bills in collection. Cancer is expensive.
Yeah.
I have great health care, so I was able to get everything that I needed. I didn't have to wait, luckily, very long, maybe a month, to get surgeries and so on and so forth. And most everything was covered. Although it, yeah, I'm in debt. I let the bills go to, I probably shouldn't say this out loud. I let the bills go to collections because here in the States, collections for medical bills doesn't affect your credit score. And you can typically negotiate the money down or the account down. So that's what I do. And I think it's unfortunate because one, why didn't you give me that reduced rate to begin with?
Mm,
And
mm,
two, I the amount of people who can't afford healthcare or who can't afford those bills and then therefore maybe don't get treatment.
yeah.
It's heartbreaking. So the financial aspect has been it's been tough.
Yeah. Staying
But
alive can bankrupt you.
yeah.
And it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I'm finding as I'm talking to people, um, is whether you live depends on where you live.
Mhm.
And it shouldn't be a postcode lottery.
Right.
It shouldn't be a postcode lottery. It should, it's your right to survive. If
Yeah, they
that
call it
treatment
death.
is out there, because that's crazy. The radiotherapy, the form of radiotherapy that Jacob had, and I'll always be grateful for it. It's American technology. Proton beam therapy, how it's targeted, it's specific, there are less
Mhm.
side effects. There's no cancer in that area of his body because the radiotherapy worked. It's
Mhm.
just part of it is migrated. And it's American tech. It's like something out of Star Trek.
Mhm.
But we don't have to pay for it, but you guys do. It's crazy. It's
I
just
think
utterly
I
insane.
heard America was the only place you could go bankrupt through medical bills.
Wow. And that adds another layer of pressure on you when you're already fighting for your life.
Mhm.
And that's not just physically, that's mentally and that's emotionally. That's all the unknowns. And then you know that you've got bills on top of it. It's just,
It's honestly it brings me to tears just thinking like so my immediate treatment was the surgeries and then I had ovarian suppression which was medical menopause which was an injection every 3 months which was $12,000 every 3 months.
wow. Wow.
And
Yeah.
so I wound up having surgery so I don't have to have those injections anymore. They just removed my ovaries. But I look and I think, I'm so very fortunate. And gratitude is a big part of coming out of this. You are so grateful for so many things, but I look at these women my community, and it's not a rich community. And there's a lot of people who don't make a lot of money. And I wonder, how are they getting their treatment?
Mm.
Are they? Or are we
Yeah.
just letting them
Yeah,
go?
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's so frustrating.
No, I know. I mean, does that impact how cancer is talked about? Are people quite open talking about it, or is it more of a case of you take to social media to try and, I know some people take to social media to try and drum up funds to try and pay for the medical bills, which shouldn't have to happen, by the way. You shouldn't have to play the pity card so that you can help either yourself or someone you love survive, but you've got to do what you've got to do.
Right.
But does it affect how it's discussed, do you think?
I think there's a big divide. We talk about cancer when you get it. There's the oh my gosh, there's the what's the treatment part of it. And then there's this void.
Mm,
And then it's the my grandmother can't pay her medical bills, so here's the GoFundMe.
mm,
There's this divide, there's this gap of this. People are uncomfortable talking about cancer.
yeah,
They can talk about and they can pity party with you in the beginning
yeah,
and in the end. But there is no talk about how disheartening it is in between. How do we pay these bills? Why is our medical system the way that it is? Why do we have these insurance plans when they don't cover some of this stuff? Why do I have to pay extra for cancer care?
yeah. Do you know
So
what?
there's a big divide in that, I would say. And actually, that's a great topic to put out there, the
Yeah,
financial piece of
yeah.
it.
I mean, the way it struck me the other day after talking to you, um, cancer is approached in the same way the wizarding community of Harry Potter deal with using the word Voldemort. The only one who's brave enough to actually use his name is Harry because Harry's dealt with him. And that's cancer. That's people are
Mhm.
afraid to use the word in case it comes for them. It doesn't work like that.
Mhm.
It's just it's almost like you need to say it because there are terrified people out there that can't pay their medical bills that are drowning in silence.
Yeah,
That's why I'm here and I'm going to keep showing. We are going to keep showing up. You and I are
right.
going to keep showing up and busting these myths and giving these people that permission. You are allowed to use the word cancer. It doesn't mean you're going to get it, but it needs to be in the public discussion because until
Mhm.
it is, things like medical bankruptcy, like financial bankruptcy from medical bills, won't ever change
No,
because it's not being challenged.
it's not being elevated. And
No.
I see more. I think it's because I'm immersed in it right now, right? Like my
Mm,
algorithm is showing me other doctors and women talking about it. But there is it's just like we talked about the other day. It's just such a taboo. It's uncomfortable. People don't know what to say.
mm,
And yeah, that financial piece, there's a lot of people out there too proud to beg who maybe they don't even know about GoFundMe, right?
mm.
They don't have family to set up an account for them. Like it's really disheartening.
Hang on 1 second. My dog, I don't know what my dog is doing.
Go get them.
My dog is doing something, and my 9-year-old is trying to. She's a Jack Russell with a personality issue. 1 second. Okay, so the dog starts
Okay.
barking because my husband's come home. My 9-year-old assumes that it's a ghost and has come out to defend the dog. Oh, you can't make it up.
I love it.
Anyway, but
I love it.
oh God.
And I bet those moments with your other kids, you're able to really appreciate them even more now and celebrate some of these funnies, and like, not that you wouldn't before, but it just
No,
means so much more.
I know what you mean. It's like in January it'll be 3 years since Jacob had his leg amputated. And even now the one-legged jokes don't stop. I remember watching the second Beetlejuice, and he's sitting next to me, and there's this woman who's putting herself back together at the beginning, and I notice it's a long box, and I know instantly that it's a leg, instantly, and I'm like, I have an opportunity to make a joke here, and I look to see what leg it is and whether it's the one that's gone, and I look at him, and Jacob can see me trying to work it out. I'm not quick enough, and he goes, "Do you know what? These jokes are going to start getting old." And I'm like, we're 3 years in and they're not old yet. So Halloween, we do like a what's a Walking Dead thing, and we have feet hanging from the porch. And we're like, you're lucky
Totally.
because that they're right legs and you've got that one. It's okay. Otherwise, I'd tell people it's yours. Otherwise, I'd scare
Love it.
instead of them they're yours. That's because you need to find reasons to laugh, and you need to find reasons to be grateful because they're not just going to land in your lap when cancer is in your life. You have to find these these moments where you're like, yeah, that was funny. That
Mhm.
was funny. We have ways of making each other laugh whilst we're waiting for one of Jacob's checkups because we just, yeah, you have
Mhm.
to. The
You have to.
inappropriate humor comes out and we learn to laugh. But what was the role like? I know you said that your family had been a massive support for you. Um, but did that bring any cultural or societal expectations with it? I know some families keep it almost like enclosed and just for them, and then other families are more open about the fact that cancer is here. So how did it affect?
We, so my aunt was actually diagnosed like 6 weeks after my surgeries, so within the same year. So we went back to back with it, and hers was completely different than mine. But we are a family that we share, and so I nothing was taboo, nothing was off limits. Like we could talk to anyone, they talked to anyone. Um, I lost some friends. Well, you find out who your real friends are, right?
Yeah,
And in that regard, um, that part was a challenge. But as far as like the family and how we like dealt with it, we're kind of open books. Only I think because the more you talk about it, the more people start thinking, okay, well, this might happen to me. It may not, but it could. So here's what I need to do to prevent it. Or does this mean I could eat healthier? Does this mean I could stop drinking or drink less? Does this mean I should go get my mammogram? I can't tell you how many women have come back up to me after I did a post. Like before TikTok, I was just like on Instagram and I would do little posts here and there. And they said, oh, Kelly, thank you for the reminder.
yeah,
And so I feel that is not everyone does that, I'll say. But
yeah.
that's my family was very open and yeah, we're a rowdy bunch. So we talk about anything and everything and we share a lot of personal stuff within the family dynamic as well. And I just think that it's been a great bonding experience. I've had a positive experience with my family.
And is
Yeah.
that the you talk about a wide variety of topics within the cancer journey. Is that why you started it? Is that
Hmm.
why you decided to? Because it's hard to put yourself out there,
Oh, it's
I think.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrifying. I started, so in 2020, when I had my first biopsy, I couldn't Google and find out what they were going to do to me. I was terrified. I had no
Mm,
idea what a biopsy, I knew what it was, but I didn't know how they did it. I didn't know the noise. It makes this ratchet noise,
mm.
and I didn't know any of that. So I started recording on Instagram stories. My, I'm terrified, but then, okay, well, here's what it is. here's my results. So I shared a little bit along the way because I couldn't find anything. And I
Oh,
decided to start TikTok this summer sharing my stories because I felt like I had a good story to tell with my misdiagnosis
mm,
and the fact that I landed on my feet. And I was terrified that I was going to turn into this. They give menopause this bad rap, right? Society does, that you're going to turn into this troll, this hairy, you're going to gain all this weight, you're going to get hair everywhere. And I said, no, I am not going to do that. If these were the cards that I was dealt, I am going to turn this into something else, the opposite of what society says that I'm going to turn into. And
mm.
I wanted to share that with other women that like this isn't, you're going to come out one way or another on the other side, hopefully, right? And when you do, you can put this positive spin on it. It doesn't always have to be this doom and gloom. Like Jacob, he's better now. He knows it,
Mm.
right? And like there's a lot of women who don't know it. So that's what I wanted to share was you can do this.
And I think you're absolutely right. And this is where I know that using the pity narrative drums up the funds to fund the research that will eventually put cancer in the history books where it belongs.
Mhm.
But it also paints this expectation for people that find themselves on that journey that they expect to be pitied. So, why would I be anything other than what society expects me to
Mhm.
be? And that's why you and I are here,
Mhm.
So if there was one thing you could change about how cancer is seen or treated, just to finish off, what would it be? It's a hard
Oh,
question, I think, that one.
it is hard, but it's on the same boat that you can come out a better, stronger, more beautiful human than before because of all the change that it brings.
Yeah. Even in the last year, I'm not the same person that I was when I started this year. I mean, now I'm a published author and,
Mhm.
I've got this platform going and I meet I hate using the word inspirational because it sounds patronizing, but I do. I meet inspirational people like you all the time. And I get to have these conversations that leave me buzzing afterwards. The fact that we can change this narrative and we can, it's our story and it's time we took it back.
Mhm.
Instead of handing it to
Exactly.
the big wigs that decide how to play it to bring the money in. Okay, but you're isolating people, you're sticking people on emotional treadmills, telling them to stay strong, and you're walking away. No one's actually, when you're on a marathon, they hand you water halfway through, you know, it's not, and there's a finish line. There's no finish line with this.
No.
No, it's just, yeah, no, but thank you so much for coming
Oh,
on.
this was so fun. Thank you so
We'll have to do
much.
it again. We'll have to
Yes,
do
I
it
would
again
love
when my
that.
dog's not barking at Mr. Nobody.
The ghost.
And my youngest doesn't go out to fight the boogeyman, and I have to go out there and like, what on earth is going on? But yeah, no,
Right.
please, if you ever want to come back and share some and battle some more misconceptions with me, you are more than
I
welcome.
would love that. Thank you. This was
And
a lot of
I will, I will continue to repost your posts
thank you.
because that's what I do. I have this little thing called platforms, supporting platforms. So if I can get it out there and it ripples further and somebody that needs it sees it, I'll do it.
I love it. Thank you. And
Yeah,
same. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we've got
yeah,
it. We're all in the same corner.
yeah. We're gonna. This is our story. We'll
Yeah,
take it back, please. We'll have it.
please.
Yeah,
I,
give it
yeah,
to us. Yeah,
yeah.
and
I love it.
just if you're fighting for your life, you shouldn't have to pay for it. That's the bottom line.
Ah, right.
You shouldn't have to pay for it.
I
No.
know.
But thank you so much, Kelly, for coming
Thank
on.
you, Claire.